think of the last time you stepped on a frog? Probably not the happiest of memories. Just thinking of the squish makes me want to cringe. But my best friend does this with every step he takes. All while sporting a random white line on his foot. And his small intestines alone are 3 times the length of my whole digestive tract. But he's a pretty cool friend. If this is your first impression of me, you're probably thinking that I'm crazy. Well, you're not necessarily wrong. Hello, I'm Michellynnn Schroeder, and I've been a proud Niagara County 4-H'er for 5 years. Today I will be talking about some of the anatomy differences between the horse and the human. Let's begin. Obviously, by looking at a horse and looking at a human, there's a lot of differences we can notice. But we're going to skip all the basics and dive right in. A horse has 205 bones, and a human has 206. I'll touch on this later. Horses have 700 muscles and humans have 650. These next 2 points bring up something interesting. Horses have thinner skins than humans, and horses also have more nerve endings than humans. What do you think this means? This means that horses can actually feel more pain than us. Poor babies. In my presentation, I'm going to cover head to hoof and everything in between. So let's start with the head. When you look at a human's head, hopefully the first thing you notice is their smile. In that smile, there are 32 teeth in an adult human. An adult horse has 36 to 42 teeth, depending on gender and what teeth they do or do not get. Our teeth go all the way back to the back of our jaw, and so do horses, but it just seems a little bit more dramatic since their teeth end about here. Obviously, horses have eyes on the side of their head compared to ours which are in the front of our head. You can tell this just by looking at them. But the reason why is because humans are predators and horses are prey. Prey animals need to be able to have their head in the ground grazing all day, but still be able to see 360 degrees around them to look out for predators. Their only blind spots really are below their head, neck, and muzzle, and directly behind them. Our ears are used to hear. Horses' ears can do so much more than that. They can actually move their ears to where sound is. Because they can move their ears more than we can, they need more muscles to do this. If someone's coming from behind them, they'll put their ears kind of back to hear it. If it's coming from in front of them, they'll put their ears up. If it's coming from next to them, they'll turn their head and move their ears accordingly. They'll also move their ears to show emotion. A happy alert horse interested in something in the distance will have his head up, eyes wide open, ears forward and staring at that. Oh, a horse that's just kind of relaxed, have his head kind of down and droopy, his eyes closed, and his ears will just be there. A mad horse, however, this is one we have to be careful around, will have his ears plain flat back, as a warning to horses and humans that he might kick, strike out, or bite, so you should probably get away. This horse, we can tell, is content and relaxed. He's probably had a long day at a show because his eyes seem closed and his head's hanging low. However, this horse is definitely interested in something because his eyes are open, his head is up, and his ears are forward. Horses also make great running athletes. Humans sometimes can too. But when a human tries to run, they'll oftentimes start breathing through their mouth. One of the things that other running animals have to do this too. But actually horses cannot breathe through their mouth. So this is why nostril size and shape is so important. The head also houses a very important organ called the brain, which controls everything we do. Your brain is about 2% of your total body weight. But a horse's brain is only about 0.6%. That means that if I was a human, my brain would be about the size of this, or a little bit smaller. However, if I was a horse, my brain would be about the size and shape of this. I mentioned size and shape. Shape is different between a horse brain and a human brain because our heads are shaped differently. Our heads are very round and are straight onto our neck. So our brains are a bit more round and connect to our neck straight on. But a horse has a longer face than us, longer head and skull than us, so their brains are going to be a bit longer as opposed to wide. Their neck and head also connect on an angle compared to straight up and down like ours, so their brains are going to connect on it differently too. Horses can only use one side of their brain at a time, so that means that they can't think about more than one thing or multitask like some humans can. This is why if you walk into a barn full of horses munching on hay, they're truly interested in you and want to get their attention, they'll pick their head up and stop chewing. If not, that means that you're probably not the most important thing to them right now. This tool can be used as a distraction method. If you take a horse that doesn't like vet or farrier work and start tapping his head, petting him or feeding him as the vet's trying to give him a shot or as a farrier is trying to trim his feet, he'll think about what you're doing to him as opposed to what your vet or farrier is. Something else that's very important is digestion. Digestion takes place in the digestive, also called gastrointestinal or GI tract, and is when food or liquids that are eaten or drank are chemically and mechanically broken down to take nutrients, proteins, energy, and vitamins, and all sorts of other cool stuff, send it to the rest of the body. Let's take a look at the digestive tract. On paper, the human and horse digestive tract might seem similar, but actually, when you put size into things, it's a whole nother story. I will be using strings to demonstrate the differences of length between horses and humans' digestive tracts. Horse digestive tract will have pink strings and human digestive tract will have blue strings. Please remember that these are only pieces of yarn, but a real digestive tract is much thicker, tubular, and round. Digestion starts with the eyes. When somebody sees food, their mouth starts creating saliva, which is used for chemical digestion. This chemically breaks it down. Mechanical digestion starts in the mouth when the horse starts chewing food. Chewed food then goes to the esophagus, which in a human is 1 foot long, in a horse is 5 feet long, to the stomach, which is 6 inches long in a human and 1 foot long in a horse. But wait a minute, that's not proportionate to the esophagus. The body is not proportionate as one may think. The next food goes to the small intestines, but don't be fooled by its name. The small intestines is actually much larger than the large intestines lengthwise, but it's coiled up tighter, so it takes up a lesser volume. The human small intestines is 18 feet long, where the horse's is a whole 70 feet long, which is pretty crazy. From there, food moves to the large intestines, which in a human is 5 feet long, so only the length of the horse's esophagus, and in a horse is 3 feet long, almost to the length of our whole digestive tract. From there, food moves to the cecum. The cecum in a horse is a separate organ because horses eat more rough forages than us. We do have a cecum, it's just part of our large intestines. The cecum counts for 4 feet of digestive tract in the horse. From there, food meets its end at the rectum, which is 8 inches long in a human and 1 foot long in a horse. That brings our total length to 25 feet and 2 inches long in a human, which is impressive that I currently have that much organ coil inside of me. But that's nothing compared to the horse's digestive tract, which is a whole 104 feet long. Wow. Let's take a closer look at one of the important organs of digestion, the stomach. Because of the way the stomach and the stomach connects to the esophagus, horses cannot regurgitate. There is a ring of muscles called the caudier sphincter, which connects the stomach to the esophagus. Horses have the thickest, toughest, and strongest cardiac sphincter of all mammals, so although food can come in, it cannot come back out, like ours can. They cannot regurgitate because of this, so it's very important that we watch what they eat and don't let them get into anything bad, because colic is a serious problem. Horses retain food in their stomach for up to 12 hours, but we only do for about 2.5 to 5 hours. We can hold about 1 quart of food in our stomach, but since horses are constantly eating, they can hold 8 to 16 quarts. They're constantly eating because their stomachs are built to graze all day. We have a doctor that can maybe eat 3 meals a day and then a snack or 2. But horses come from a grazed animal, so if they don't have a constant supply of food, or if we try to feed them once or twice a day as if we were feeding ourselves, they'll have ulcers, and that's not good. We talked about the head. We talked about the in-betweens. Now let's talk about the legs. Horses have less bones than humans because the ulna and the radius, which are bones in the forearm, are actually fused together in the horse's body. Horses' legs movements actually go hand in hand with their breathing. When a racehorse is galloping to the finish line and is about to win his race, the way his legs are moving is pushing the diaphragm, which is the muscle below the lungs, up so he can breathe easier and he does not need to pant like a dog. You might not think of this, but humans distribute their weight evenly between two legs. Horses actually don't. They bear 60% of weight on their front legs and 40% on their hind legs. And walk like that too. That would be like if I were to try to put more weight on my right foot and walk than left foot as I walked. At the end of the leg in all animals is some form of foot. Bone-wise, the bottom of the horse's leg and their hoof can either be thought of as a wrist and head or our ankle and foot. This is where stepping on frogs and white line comes into the equation. This is the view of a hoof when you pick it up. The frog would be about here. The frog is a squishy wedge that absorbs shock and helps with blood flow. This is why I say my best friends like to step on frogs. The white line is just a little white line where the sole meets the wall. If you haven't figured out by now, my best friend is actually my horse, Marty. I find it so cool how our bodies are so similar, yet so different. The body is really an amazing machine, and it's just so cool. Most people don't know how tiny horse brains are, yet how massive their digestive tract is. It's all very, very cool to me. These are my resources, although, I'll be honest, I had to look more up about the human and the horse. Most of this stuff, however, I knew because of my own experience. Through being in 4-H and showing horses, I have learned so much and gained so many educational opportunities and met so many wonderful people that I've learned a lot that way alone. My photos were found via Google search or I pulled straight off my camera. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Are there any questions?